We need to support the American Rescue Plan. America needs to be rescued from an economy that for about 50 years has kept the poorest poor and the middle class struggling to stay in the middle class. The economy in the United States has worked very well for the people at the top, but has done little to improve the living standards of over 90% of the population. Many parents are working to have health insurance and to be able to pay for early child care education. Every dollar a mother earns goes to pay for child care, and she has nothing left over. Democracy does not do well when prosperity is not shared and distributed. I will repeat that. Democracy does not do well when prosperity is not shared and distributed. The lowest mobility rates of any industrialized economy are threatening the American dream. We in the United States, one of the wealthiest nations in the world, has the lowest mobility rates. This country has a list of problems and issues. However, we must address inequality. That is why it is imperative to support the 1.9 million package presented to us by Biden administration. This package will give direct aid to families, support public health, support vaccination and testing, and distribute personal protective equipment. In addition, this package includes an increase to the child tax credit so we can stop taxing working people into poverty. Included in the American Rescue Plan, the child tax credit will cut childhood poverty in the United States of America by about 50%, for Latino kids by 60%, for Black kids by about 67%, and lastly, for Native American kids by 70%. Without creating more expenses for the federal government or one more program, we can lift children out of poverty. How will this be done, you ask? By simply adjusting the pre-existing tax credit from $2,000 to $3,000, $3,600 for kids under the age of 6. This means that the poorest people in America who have been previously left out of the tax credit, 25 million children, will now benefit from a tax credit for the first time. This support for this bill will cut childhood poverty in this country by about 50%. COVID made us all very much aware of the structural nature of the American people's challenges in this economy and before the pandemic. This proposal will help us work better in the bipartisan unison in this chamber. And once this is done, the cooperation will remain enduring. We need to make cooperation in this chamber last so that the people of our nation can feel more secure in their nation, in politics, and overall. We have it as our goal in the United States of America to eradicate childhood poverty. Being born poor is nobody's choice. It is no child's choice to be poor, nor frankly should we have an American born poor. We need to improve economic mobility in this country. This new administration is creating the beginning of a new age where when the economy grows, it grows for everyone. Economic growth should be secured, not just for the people on top. May I remind you of our 32nd President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, once said, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little." I want to thank Senator Warren, Senator Bennett, Senator Benson, Senator Booker, and Senator Brown for their assistance and supporting and making this bill possible. This will be a powerful lifeline for Americans and mostly importantly, our children. This bill helps address poverty with economic and moral urgency. No matter what skin color you are or whether you live in an urban or rural area, this poverty issue affects all. It affects all Americans. Poverty does not discriminate. 1 in 6 American kids live in poverty. This is an ethical indecency that in the wealthiest nation in the world, we have so much poverty. A total of 25% of kids living in poverty will experience an eviction before they turn 15 years old. The stress of poverty affects hormones, and kids who live in poverty have higher stress hormones. Poverty is physical and psychological violence. Child poverty is a failure in this country that has to be addressed. Thankfully, with this bill, we in these chambers have the responsibility to help end child poverty. We in these chambers have the responsibility to end this violence against our children. The American family can move themselves up through hard work, dedication, and education. They want to be able to save something for retirement and leave something for the next generation. That is, all Americans want to comfortably pay for the roof over their heads, groceries on the table, and occasionally have a family outing. No family in the United States should worry about whether they have enough money to cover their rent or mortgage. No family in the United States of America should feel food insecurity and not know where their next meal will come from. This is the beginning to the end of that, which is why I enthusiastically support this bill. Lastly, as John Kennedy said, if a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. Mr. President, with that, I yield the floor.